Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Thank you for your support. Enjoy the video.
Hey there, Rulers, DMO73 here, bringing you the feature match for the week. This is between Paul on the Ouroboros OTK concept that has been brought to the forefront by the one and only Mike Rance and piloted by many other people. This is kind of based off a list that we saw played at the Collinsville GP, and I am playing a green-white Arla list that's kind of primarily focused on the Angels. We do still have the ability to flip Arla, we do still have Bear in there, but I kind of wanted to play the Angel package just to have a little bit of fun, so we're going to go ahead and see how that goes. So just doing our shuffle ups here. I believe, yes, Arla is going to be on the draw. So the biggest piece about the Ouroboros OTK, if you're not fully aware of it, is the concept is to use the new spell from AO3 for Lenneth to flash in Ouroboros, the 5-drop at the end of your opponent's turn, very early in the game, making them only have 2,000 life. And then you can, on your turn, since it came in on your opponent's turn, swing in with it for lethal for 20. Oh, I guess he is choosing to go second instead. I think we got that a little bit mixed up. So, you see he already has 2 of the pieces of the combo right there in his hand. He has the Ouroboros and spell, and there's the third. There's Caduceus. The last piece of the combo is just that he needs the some kind of removal spell for if I have some kind of addition hate, or some kind of blocker, like this Percival that you're seeing come down here. But it is possible to just kill your opponent in one shot if they don't have an answer for it. So Percival coming down here, going to go ahead and grab a Pierre. Doesn't do a ton in this matchup other than just serve to potentially pop any kind of additions like Seal of Lenneth or anything else. Obviously only 2 counters. I mean, if we get it fast enough, it would be helpful for being able to kill an Ouroboros potentially. We're going to use Lenneth here, use the Energize for Caduceus. I believe choosing the modes to get rid of the Percival, and then remove a card and draw a card, just to try to draw into some kind of removal spell. We banished the Percival to itself in response to be able to try to give itself counters, but mainly we just want to get stuff and keep stuff in the grave rather than getting RFG'd. Nothing particularly about this deck wants to use the graveyard. It's just always better, I think, to keep stuff there if you can. Down comes the Pierre, just 2 counters. We'd need 5 counters total to be able to kill an Ouroboros. Here comes the spell, and down comes the Ouroboros, so setting my life down to 2,000 because of its enter effect that we don't have a way to stop. Paul not having a removal option here, which means I at least get to block this one and force him to kind of put in the work for it. But because he used Caduceus to play for the spell, it just goes back into his hand, and you see he has another Ouroboros in hand. So we're going to block with the Pierre here, and he starts to play the Angraboda to like try to kill it, and then he's like, oh wait, it costs 3, I only have 2. So yes, Pierre is going to get to block the Ouroboros. So I live for a little bit, but ultimately I'm still very much on the back foot, especially not having a Regalia of my own to try to keep up. So at that point in time, Paul's just going to pass the turn, move to recover, call stone. We hit a light vapors here, so we can play at least Wings of the Archangel, so we can get a couple strangers removed. Unfortunately, not another really good mode for us to do there, because, you know, we can do Judgment for 0, I guess. We have no other flyers, so we can't get any kind of draw power off of it. We hit an Artemis and an Arthur. Arthur is helpful because if you're going to do the God's Art, you can also grab a Percival off of it, which is pretty helpful. And then Paul just really going all in, casting the spell, and then 2 more copies of Guardian of Velsivaria, which will let him kind of filter into removal if he needs it. Also protection, and even just putting the second Ouroboros on the board is just really, really good at this moment, because now I have to block 2 different blockers. And the other piece here is that he now has 4 attackers going into his turn. And with the number of cards that he has removed from game, I think it's 5. So we swing in for 20. What we're going to do here is flash in Angel of Healing. Angel of Healing is going to gain us 1,000 life, prevent the next damage that would be dealt to herself, and then I'm going to let this Ouroboros swing through for 20. So I'll go down to 10. But this taps me out, which is not super great. The damage goes through, and then I'm looking at his RFG and realizing he has exactly 5 cards removed from game, which means that with his Guardians of Velsivaria, let alone if he has any kind of removal in his hand, just by blocking, you know, no removal required, just blocking, I die here. Because he swings with the Ouroboros, I don't have a way to stop it. I have to block that. It prevents the damage for Angel of Healing, but then he can just swing in with the 2 Guardians, and that takes me down to 0. So a very quick execution of the combo from Paul, and kind of seeing exactly what can happen if you're not prepared for it, or if you don't have answers for it, or some kind of life gain to try to keep up with it. Unfortunately, the Arla list coming up a little bit short in regard to that, so we're going to go on to game 2. So game 2 here, Arla choosing to take the draw, which is much better. Again, in a Regalia matchup, if you can play your Regalia on turn 1, it automatically sets you ahead of your opponent, especially since his taking it away from him means that we give ourselves a little bit more time to be able to establish before suddenly we're staring down the Ouroboros. Choosing mulligans here. See, he has castle. Looks like Ouroboros here. Crossing point. We do play the castle in the Ouroboros list, particularly because we want a kind of backup. And when you're playing the Guardian of Velsivaria, which you're going to be playing anyway, suddenly all of your fire and light resonators become goddesses. So it's a lot more things for you to be able to flash in off of the castle if you play it. Now, unfortunately here, not having the turn 1 Regalia, but we do energize into Cathedral, so we do ramp in that way. Also gets us another Angel, which we can use to grab the Angel of Healing for later. But thankfully it produces 1 white, 1 green, 4 Angels, which is Magnus Angel, which you already had in 1 in hand. So now we're setting up for later with the Healing Angel, but we can also get this Magnet on board, Magnus Angel, get a Stranger RFG, start that kind of curve up and start putting in pressure. Second turn for Paul. Unfortunately, not having anything turn 2, so he has that crossing point but no Regalia, so he just kind of has to sit there and wait. We're going to go ahead and play 1 for a Excel here. This gets us another Stranger removed, which boosts up our Magnus Angel nicely and puts 6 counters on the Excel. Not enough to really do anything because Guardian of Velsivaria has 7 defense, but it is still at least a 7 at this point, a 7/7 body that's flying. So the more blockers we have, the better, especially since we have that Angel of Healing and the ability to cast it. We'll swing in with Magnus Angel, try to get in that 9 damage. Paul doesn't have anything to say about it, so there we go, down to 31. And so we're back to being kind of the advantage here. We're casting Crossing Point here in the upkeep. In this particular version of the deck, Crossing Point will hit nothing. There is no goddesses that are treated as goddesses anyway in the main deck. So you get nothing off that card. It is literally pay to RFG 7. It's essentially pay to reduce the cost of Castle by 7 for later in the game. And also bump up your Guardians of Velsivaria 700. See, we do have a Light of Reissmann Revive. We do have the Castle. Paul chooses to pass there. Before recovery, is going to go ahead and use Light of Reissmann Revive on the Cathedral. Now, we're not going to flash in the Angel of Healing here because it wouldn't make sense, because Ouroboros sets your life to 2 grand. So even if your life is 700,000, it just becomes 2 grand. So we want to save the healing, the will from Angel of Healing to be able to heal up after the Ouroboros has come down. we call Stone here, we swing in for another 9, go down to 22. At that point in time, we're just going to pass, because again, we have Angel of Healing in hand, and we want to leave up the 3 will, just in case Paul tries to pull off the combo this turn. So Paul here kind of struggling to find his footing, plays an Isis. This gets him a Nyarlathotep Otep and generates him a moon. Now we're not playing Isis as the rulers, so the moon can't be used to produce anything, which is a little unfortunate. The idea here between playing the Nyarlathotep Otep is that if you bring in Yarly and Isis off of the moon, off of the castle, then suddenly you have this kind of like pocket removal for being able to ping your way through whatever you need, or turn castle into a pseudo board clear, since Nyarlathotep Otep can turn every moon into a burn. We also were playing the DBV Surtur, which generates you additional moons, so it's kind of like this deck doesn't have a ton of removal outside of like Raise and Revive, so using this package gets you at least something while also putting a body on board, and keeping in mind that if you control a moon, then Nyarlathotep at least has swiftness, which can be very effective. So here, before recovery, after drawing turn, we're going to go ahead and do Awakening of the Winged Lord, see if we can hit something. We get another Magnus Angel. This is pre-recovery on my turn, so this Magnus Angel, unfortunately, is not going to be able to swing, but it does bump up our other Magnus Angel, gets us the Michael, so not really much we need that for right now, and then we're going to go ahead and move into recovery. Oh, we're going to go ahead and use the free Excel's Reconnaissance as well before recovery, because we have Excel. Now that we have 3 strangers removed, we get to look at 4, seeing potentially maybe another, another chance of seeing Wings of the Archangel, another potential Awakening of the Winged Lord. Lots of different options here. We got another Excel's Reconnaissance we're just going to pay for not free, since we have the Will Before Upkeep, sculpt our hand as best as possible, and then we move Call Stone. Pay 1. This gets, pay 2 for another Cathedral. This is helpful because it's going to be able to get us another Angel of Healing, just to further cement our protection here. Oh, actually, we're going to go ahead and grab a Celestial Wing Seraph, just to say, hey, you're probably not going to kill us this turn anyway. We might as well set up for another big potential play next turn. Swing in with a 1300. So taking down a 9. Swing in with 7, ping then swing in with Morning Angel. Unfortunately, Paul, having no flyers and having no removal, is just going to die to that. So the Angel package, not really getting to do much in terms of what it wanted to do, other than just like apply pressure with Magnus Angel and capitalizing on the fact that we had a slow start and to push it to game 3. So game 3 here, Paul choosing to take the draw. He's known trying to hit that turn 1 energize, very, very important for him. Just like that, you see he already has 2 of the combo pieces, so shipping literally everything else to try to draw into what he needs to be able to, play the cards. Oh, choosing to go first. Oh no, choosing to go second, and I had nothing for my first turn. Bad start for the Arla deck to not have a first turn. Paul having nothing on his first turn either, but does have the Energize, which puts him in a very scary position for the Arla player. I have to make a decision here whether or not I want to tap out or open myself up to potential OTK. Whereas you see exactly here, he's going to do exactly that. So he's going to go ahead and risk the fact that he doesn't have the Caduceus to bring the spell back to his hand to flash in the Ouroboros on turn 2, and then use the Raise and Revive that he has in his hand to try to push through for lethal. So swings in for 20. We're going to go ahead and do Awakening of the Winged Lord here. Seeing that he has the 2 will open here, we make the decision to pick the mode to RFG a Stranger and gain life. So what we're doing here is we're going to get a stranger at random and gain life equal to its attack. So obviously hoping to see like the Arthur or the Artemis off the top here. And we see the Jabberwock, which gets us 800, and then we take 2,000, so we go down to 8. Cathedral here to try to get us an Angel of Healing. Saying hopefully we can at least, stop, prevent the damage, gain life, and stop a block. We're going to see a crossing point come down here from Paul. So 7 cards get RFG'd, sets up for, like we said earlier, cheaper castles, makes his Guardians of Velsivaria immediately have 700 attack. 1 drop quick cast 7/7 seemed pretty good. And then draws for a turn. I think I saw another crossing point there. But he does have that Light of Raisin Revive in hand, so we're going to swing in for 20. We're going to try to flash in the Angel of Healing, gain the 10 life, go up to 18, try to prevent the next damage to itself, and then try to go to block, at which point in time we have the Raisin Revive, which hits 3 drops or less. So even though we're up to 18, we're still going to take 20 damage, and that is going to be game. So the Ouroboros OTK doing its job, capitalizing on those early opportunities and pushing through for that lethal. So that is it. Hope you guys liked it. We'll have the deck profiles for both lists up later this week. Tune in next week for our Conqueror format, which is going to be a ton of fun. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.